Here we presents the top 5 best streaming devices. Starting at number 5, Anker Nebula Fire TV. Like the Roku Smart Soundbar, the Anker Nebula Fire TV Edition is a speaker that doubles as a media streamer. That means there's no need for an extra media player outside of the soundbar. Video and audio originate from the same connection. Throw in Alexa voice control, and you're getting a lot for $229.99. Audio is loud and clear, but if you're looking for subwoofer glory from the system, which is advertised as a 2-1 soundbar despite missing the essential 1 element, you will be disappointed. This is a modest sound signature, without much in the way of deep bass. So while the Roku soundbar isn't markedly more powerful, it's a better deal at $180. Measuring 2.4 by 36, 2 by 4, 3 inches, the 7.1-pound Nebula is covered in a dark gray cloth grille, with a status LED readout that shines through the front-facing panel. An array of controls are situated on the top panel, with buttons for power, mode, EC, volume up, and volume down. There are connections on the back panel for HDMI, optical, 3.5mm O, and the included power cable. There's also a USB-A port for firmware updates. In addition to these physical inputs, the soundbar can stream audio via Bluetooth. The Nebula is marketed as a 2-1 system, which is pure marketing gibberish. There is no subwoofer. The claim that built-in woofers make this a 2-1 system is simply not accurate. This is a stereo system with some built-in woofers, end of story. If you want subwoofer audio, you need to go a different route. Those seeking serious movie theater like Rumble will be disappointed. There are dual 3-inch subwoofers and dual 1.5-inch full-range drivers, along with 2 bass ports on either end of the soundbar. The system delivers a combined total of 100 watts and a frequency range of 60 Hz 20 kHz. For those unfamiliar with Amazon's Fire TV offerings, you can stream Netflix, Prime Video, Starz, Showtime, and YouTube, among other options, at up to 4K and 60 FPS where supported. Of course, the obvious catch is that you must have paid accounts with the various services. Still, the inclusion of the media player means there's one less box to purchase, set up, and connect. For more information and price, check out the product links in description. At number 4, Xbox One S Update 8.4.16. Several spec teardown reports have uncovered slight difference in the graphical hardware performance of Xbox One S. Specifically, Xbox One S has a small GPU clock increase of 914 MHz from 853 MHz, and an SRAM bandwidth increase of 219 GB per second from 204 GB per second. These bumps are only noticeable in-game in a small number of situations. In fact, they exist only as a bonus side effect of Microsoft ensuring HDR content performs without a hitch. The Xbox One S is the version of the console that Microsoft should have first released back in 2013 instead of the lumbering beast that we got. It's better in a number of ways, making it even more of a worthy alternative to Sony's PlayStation 4. Xbox One S offers a far more attractive enclosure, options for a bigger hard drive, a slightly redesigned controller and some video perks for owners of 4K TVs. It starts at $300, £250 or AU $400 for the 500GB version, $350, £300 or AU $500 for a 1TB model, and $400, £350 or AU $549 for 2TB. Sounds like a slam dunk, right? Unfortunately, it's never that simple. The One S doesn't get an across-the-board, buy-it-now recommendation for 2 reasons. First off, it doesn't deliver huge improvements for anyone who already owns an Xbox One. But more importantly, Microsoft has already promised that the next Xbox, dubbed Project Scorpio, will be arriving in late 2017 with the seriously amped-up graphics and VR-ready hardware that audiences are clamoring for. When it's all said and done, the Xbox One S should be primarily viewed as a slimmed-down version of the Xbox One that introduces a mildly updated controller and provisions for 4K display. It's not going to warp you into a state-of-the-art gaming experience. Pragmatically, you're probably better off nabbing an older Xbox One, which are now being sold at fire sale prices. But if you are getting an Xbox One for the first time, have an interest in the bundled games, and aren't saving your pennies for 2017's Project Scorpio, the One S is certainly a good all-round gaming and entertainment deal. Halfway of my listed number 3, Roku Ultra. The 2020 Roku Ultra is a surprisingly tough streaming box to review. While Roku's hardware and software haven't changed much from last year's model, the wider world of streaming TV has changed a lot. Between new services like Apple TV+, Peacock, HBO Max, and the forthcoming Paramount+, there are more streaming options to juggle than ever. In response, we've seen devices such as the Chromecast with Google TV and the TiVo Stream 4K emerge to make sense of those options, funneling content from multiple apps into a single, unified menu. Roku, meanwhile, has held steadfast to its less ambitious approach: make free content easy to find, but make users dig through individual apps for everything else. The 2020 Roku Ultra is easy to tell apart from previous versions. The plastic enclosure has a matte finish throughout instead of being glossy around the edges, and the sides of the box curve inward at the top instead of outward. I think it's more attractive. The port arrangement has changed as well. There's no more microSD card slot for expandable app storage, though the Ultra does have more built-in storage. Meanwhile, the USB slot for local media playback has moved from the side of the box to the back, where it's joined by the Ethernet port and HDMI output. This is also the first Roku player with Bluetooth, so you can pair a phone, tablet, or computer and play music through the TV. It's a fine addition, though it doesn't support pairing wireless headphones to play audio from the Roku. As before, the Roku Ultra supports 4K HDR video, which allows for both higher resolution and more color detail in highlights and shadows, but the new arrival of Dolby Vision means those color optimizations can happen on a scene-by-scene basis. Of course, you'll need a TV with Dolby Vision HDR support to take advantage, along with supported content in apps like Netflix or Amazon Prime. Dolby Atmos decode support means that some content can produce object-based audio effects if you have an Atmos-enabled speaker system. Coming in at number 2. NVIDIA Shield TV. The new NVIDIA Shield TV comes in two forms, but both feature the same updated CPU, the NVIDIA Tegra X1 Plus. More on that in a bit. The $150 version reviewed her as a tube of gray plastic measuring 6.5 inches long and 1.57 inches in diameter. There's an HDMI port and a microSD card slot on one side, and a power connector and Ethernet jack on the other. It also has a button that triggers a sound on the remote to help you find it. Inside, there's 8 GB of storage and 2 GB of RAM. According to NVIDIA, the tubular design is meant for laying on the floor alongside your other AV cables, but I'm not sold on the idea. Hiding the Shield out of reach could hinder Wi-Fi reception and keep you from using the device's remote finder button, but placing the tube out in the open just looks awkward, with cables sticking out of both ends. If you prefer the Shield's old rectangular design, it still exists in the new Shield TV Pro. It doesn't have a microSD card slot or a remote finder button, but it does have a pair of USB ports for connecting external hard drives, game controllers, TV tuners, or other accessories. It also has more storage and RAM than the tube, 16 GB and 3 GB respectively, matching the previous generation Shield TV box. As such, it's the only one of the two models that can double as a Plex server, SmartThings Hub, or an over-the-air DVR. Performance was never an issue with the previous Shield, which even today holds up as one of the fastest streaming boxes on the market. Nonetheless, NVIDIA has upgraded the new Shield with a Tegra X1 Plus chip that's 25% faster. The speed increase isn't really noticeable in everyday use, but it's necessary to power the new Shield's AI upscaling